Hey everyone, Donna McElvaney here, and we are doing another video on healthy cooking, healthy eating. Today we're doing a soup, my husband is, and it is mulligatawny. So I'm going to let him take over.
Yeah, this is our healthy version of a mulligatawny soup. I'll go into the history of the soup a little bit here in a little while, but we'll get started with this. I use coconut oil as my base for all my high heat cooking. This is going to be about 2 tablespoons. And we'll get this started. So we're going to let this coconut oil melt down and get going. I love this soup. Mulligatawny is one of my favorites. Unfortunately, it's got some dairy products in it and it's got rice in it, which are 2 things that we can no longer have. So I had to come up with ways to recreate the soup without those items in it. So I'll show you the tricks and tips that I've done to make this work. So mulligatawny is a English/Indian soup. It's got a lot of the flavors from India that were brought back to England in the colonial period of when England had India as a colony. They brought back the flavor exchange there. So it's actually an English-Indian soup, I guess, is the way I understand it. But it's really good. It's just got some really neat, rich flavors. So we are going to start with a medium onion that's been chopped, and some celery and carrots. It's about 2 ribs of celery and about half 3/4 of a cup of chopped carrots. I want to give these a little bit of time in the pan. When I do vegetables, saute them like this, I always add my salt. Salt those vegetables. It gets the flavors coming out of those vegetables and into your pan, so it works really well. So we'll give these a little time to get softened up. This is one thing I really like about these cooking videos, is that I'm able to take some recipes that we loved before we had to switch our diet and learn how to switch them to the way we're currently eating.
So over here you see that's some chicken, and that's what we had just done in the previous video where we were just cooking chicken and stuff. That is the chicken that was cooked in that video.
Yeah, we generally batch cook, so I make big quantities of a lot of food on my 1 day off a week. So then we eat on that for the whole rest of the week. So in this case, I've been cooking for a little while today and trying to video it as we go so that you can see what all we do in a week.
So these chicken breasts will be used in recipes throughout this week. He's making this soup here, so we'll be eating on the soup for a few days. And then he'll probably make up another soup. We do like our soups. It's able to incorporate a lot of the ingredients that we can have. And it's hearty and healthy, and he makes up a big pot of it, so we eat on it for a few days.
And it's winter time, so
yeah, I'm sure we'll still do it in the summertime too. And they're just healthy, and they're just good for you, and they feel good. You know, not only do they taste really good, but they make you feel good too.
okay, our vegetables are starting to soften. Veggies are softening. So the next step, we will add some garlic to this. I always add my garlic at the end of the veggies. If you've watched some other videos, I don't use cloves of garlic and mince them myself. I use just the minced garlic and water. Super easy product. I add a healthy dose of garlic. That's probably about 2 teaspoons. And it doesn't take long to cook the garlic, so that's why I added it at the last minute. It can burn and add a little bit of a bitter taste to your soups, and you don't want that. So, with just nice fresh garlic flavor in there.
It does smell good.
So, our veggies are ready. And we are going to add some water.
This is distilled water. Some people are lucky enough to have their own, like, distillery. A few people I know have their own, but we don't. But we buy distilled water because we don't want fluoride, and we don't have a filtration system that actually removes fluoride. So we use distilled water.
So that was about a half a gallon to start with. I can always add more water if I want to. Some chicken bouillon base. That's one of those things that if you can find the highest quality you can find, that's good, because it adds a lot of flavor to your dishes. And the biggie, we are using some curry powder, because this is an Indian.
Great shot of it. There we go. Curry powder. Okay.
This is Indian food, so we're going to use
That smells good.
big batch of curry in here. What do I have here?
That looks like a tablespoon.
Half a tablespoon. So there goes a half. Good solid tablespoon in there.
1 tablespoon of curry.
Just
We do go through a lot of curry. It's used in several dishes that my husband makes, and it smells really good.
So we've already cooked chicken. I cook chicken once a week or so, and then dice it up and use it as need be. This has already been cooked and cooled and diced, so we will add that to the pot.
And how much is that again?
That was about 3 cups or so.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're going to let this come up to temp. It smells really good already. Okay, so we have not added anything that's not on our allowed list. So one of the next couple of ingredients that would be in this are cream and rice, which neither one we can have. So to replace the cream, I do use coconut milk. This doesn't make it all of a sudden turn into like some sort of coconut pie, but the coconut goes well with the curry. It's kind of something that they would use together in India anyways, I believe. So they just work well together. Okay. And we'll show you this right here. This coconut milk has, you see that? It had this layer of the coconut, really the fat or the heaviest part of it on top. That's okay. It will melt. I just add a whole can because, well, what's the point in having half a can laying around, right?
Right, and it is like on the list. It's on the MITA list, and it's also in the Wall's Protocol. In Wall's Protocol, she has a lot of coconut milk, like 1.5 cans a day that we're supposed to consume. I'm not sure why. I haven't like researched that yet, so I really don't know the importance of it. I kind of need to look that up. But so that's 1 whole can of the full fat coconut milk.
Correct.
And it makes it creamy.
Yeah, it really does mimic what you'd get out of some heavy cream. Now, to take the place of the rice, I use cauliflower that has been riced. So basically they take whole cauliflower and create this very small texture of cauliflower. You could do this yourself with, you know, cauliflower yourself. That would take some time, and I don't want to do that. So there's several different brands. Bird's Eye makes it. All the big companies make it. This is the brand from Aldi's. We shop at Aldi's a lot, so show you what this looks like. I'll add this straight from frozen. I don't thaw it or anything. I just put the whole thing in. There's a big chunk, so put that in there. And you see, it's like small little, let me see if I can get a few of these out of the bottom. Little small little grains of cauliflower. It mimics rice really well. It kind of gives you the same feel in the mouth. So that is our little cheat for trying to mimic rice. So believe it or not, this soup is just, I mean, that's the majority of the ingredients right there. It's just a matter of time on getting it hot and getting everything ready to go.
That coconut milk has kind of made it a little bit thicker, hasn't it?
A little bit thicker, but it's also got a lot of substance in there.
Okay.
I am going to check my seasonings real quick, see how we're doing here. A little bit of white pepper. I'm going to go ahead and use I guess I'm using that much curry powder because that's all I have left.
So is that about another fourth of a tablespoon?
Yeah, quarter of a tablespoon or so, just because that was what I had left. A little more salt. You can adjust your salt levels on your diet if you've got high blood pressure or something that you need to watch out for. Of course, you know, you've got to take care of that too. That cauliflower does have a little bit of a raw cauliflower feel to it for a little bit, but once it gets up to heat and gets a little cooking time, it cooks really fast and you won't notice it. The last thing to this is some apples, and this is about 2 average size little apples. I just use whatever apples we have at home. I think these are Gala, whatever. Okay. Apples. Just, you could use whatever, some tart ones, some cooking apples. These are just what I had at home, so that's what I did.
The ones with more flavor in them, like the pink ladies are they're pretty sour, but I think that like they would go well in a soup. You know, ones that are more tart and stuff, because the apples kind of lose a bit of their flavor into the soup, so I like a lot of apple flavor in mine. When I bite into an apple, I like to taste the apple. If you don't, then, you know, a more milder apple would probably be better. The curry makes it a little orangey, greenish tint. What color would you call that?
Oh, greenish yellow.
It's a greenish yellow, yeah. Yeah, it's a greenish yellow tint.
And the last step is to get this a little bit thicker. I don't want it super thin. Of course, you know, you'd let this cook for a little bit. and get a little bit further along than we have here, just for video's sake. But you let it cook a little bit, and then we are going to thicken it just a little bit. I use tapioca powder. Flour, sorry. Tapioca flour. Tapioca is a root, so it's just a ground up root. This is the brand Energy, I guess. I get this at our local health food store because I haven't been able to find it in any of our grocery stores. I have found another product very similar to this from the same brand at our local big box store, but it is egg replacer, and it's easy to get those mixed up. That one's like tapioca mixed with potato starch. So.
Oh, yeah, you don't want that. And that's an egg replacer, it says?
That's what it says on the container.
That's interesting.
So, I make a slurry with it. It acts just like cornstarch. If you're familiar with using a cornstarch slurry, this is exactly the same way. So you just make sure you get it mixed up well. It will try and settle down at the bottom of your little bowl.
Now, as you said, for time's sake, you don't want to add this right now. You want to let your soup cook in for a while longer. Like, how long before you actually want to add the thickener? Like 20 minutes?
Probably not even that. You want everything to get tender, all your veggies to, get good and tender. Everybody's mixed in with the flavors real well. So then you want to add this when the temperature on the soup is at the boiling point, but not just a raging boil, or you'll break down what thickness you just incorporated. So add that and get to stirring. The great thing about it is if it gets too thick, you can always add a little more water. That's one great thing about it.
And do you want it on high heat too during this? You're just watching it. Yeah.
I'm just watching it at this point, letting it get a little thickness to it. We don't want it super thick, like like a gravy or anything. But we want it to be able to kind of just be a little bit thicker than just plain water. So we're about there. You can see the chicken and the cauliflower rice and the apples, celery, carrots, everything. It's just a great flavor combination.
So about how much water and how much tapioca flour did you use in that?
I probably used about 2 tablespoons of tapioca flour and a third of a cup of water or so. So we're just gonna, your soup is done at this point. Just let it get to a temperature that a normal human can eat it and go to town. So that's our healthy version of Mulligatawny. Crazy name, crazy story behind how the soup came about, but it is really something yummy, and I think you'll like it.
Yeah, it's really tasty, and it's different. It's not something that you have very often. It's not something that you really think about, like with soups and stuff. I'd never had it until he had made it, so, and I really like it too. So we hope you enjoy it, and that's Mulligatawny. And thanks for watching, and like and subscribe to videos and stuff so that you can keep watching them whenever we post new ones, and we hope to keep more coming. Thanks guys, God bless.